Hello there, world of tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Droodles Blitz, and in today's video, I am reviewing the Dead Mouse tank. This is a vehicle that you should honestly be really excited for. I am rather pleased with how this vehicle plays. I think it's an absolute beast, and I'm going to be letting you know everything you're going to need to about it in today's video. I'll be talking about the armor profile, its statistics, and obviously showcasing live gameplay. I'll also be talking about my opinions on the event and overall of this tank. So make sure you stay tuned. As always, if you enjoy early content on newly released vehicles, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. Helps out the channel and it keeps you up to date. With that being said, let's get straight into it, starting off with these statistics. Now, this vehicle actually has two very different guns. You have a 110mm, and then we also have another 110, but this one's an autoloader with 160 damage per shot. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a pretty dangerous gun, I can tell you that. So the 110 with 374 damage per shot is just a really solid gun. It's got high alpha, really solid DPM at 2700, solid dispersion, great levels of aiming time, and overall, this is a good gun, but I personally feel like if you're driving this tank, you should be using the autoloader. The autoloader basically plays like the Annihilator, where you press the fire button once, and then it automatically goes bam, 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 with a 0.23 second interclip. So that means in basically 0.5 seconds, half a second, it shoots all three shells, which means you can deal around 480 to 460 damage in that period of time. That's a lot of damage. And when you pair that with the fact this vehicle gets tungsten, you can increase that to 560. Essentially, you can deal the same damage as a Sheridan or a T92E1 with all the advantages of the armor this vehicle has. The gun still has solid DPM at around 2450. Its decent dispersion and solid levels of aiming time mean that you're not going to have to worry too much about the bloom on this gun. Although I will say, I've definitely noticed some moments where the accuracy has been a bit sus in gameplay. When it comes to the mobility, the tank reaches a top speed of 50 and reverses at 21. It's not a fast tank. It's actually one of the slowest mediums in tier 9 on its effective power to weight, but it's more mobile than a heavy is what I'll say. So you'll still get in the position fairly fast, and if you do get it up to speed, it still reaches 50, which is pretty nice. Think of it like a Foch 155 in terms of mobility. So decent, but nothing crazy. The vehicle features 7 degrees of gun depression, making it fairly flexible, and we should take a look at the armor profile so we can see how that also stacks up. So here we are. Now, the tank, as we can see, actually has rather strong armor. It's not the best, but it is pretty good. First of all, the upper plate, if you're using any slight angling or gun depression, becomes an auto ricochet. This can obviously be very troll for people to aim at just because of the way it's designed. If there's low-down vehicles like a T100LT, T62A, vehicles like that, and you're using just a little bit of gun depression like this, basically all AP shells and APCR are going to bounce right off that upper plate. Now, that's not to say there aren't weak spots. We can see that there is a weak spot right on the flat upper plate here. That's only 88 mils thick, meaning that technically high alpha tank destroyers can cut through that with high explosive. The lower plate is 111, so that's not an HE weak spot unless you're in like an FE2 and 5B or Hesh firing vehicle. The turret armor, though, is actually quite strong on this tank. We can see on flat ground the turret is about 260, and if you're using max gun depression, then the turret armor is more around 275. If you're loading gold, maybe around 290 with heat. So it's actually a solid amount of armor. I mean, yeah, most tier 9s and 10s aren't going to bounce you, but against tier 8s, you will get bounces in the turret cheeks, and especially if vehicles are firing AP, you will get bounces as well. So actually pretty good armor. Now we can see that these little subwoofers coming out the side here do actually count as weak spots, so keep that in mind. People can technically hit them. I don't know how easy they're going to be to hit because you can obviously wiggle the tank like this, but then it just makes these corner cutouts easy. Either way, these are weak spots. However, the roof, these are not weak spots. You can see I'm clicking here. This doesn't count. The lower half does, but as we can see where the red cuts off here, that is where the armor also stops. So that is not armor at all. It's entirely see-through. Those are not hatches. People will probably fall for that thinking that they are, but yeah, don't shoot at the hatches. Now we can also see that the actual gun itself is a weak spot. If you shoot around the gun and you hit anywhere around the mantlet, it's only around 240 to 30 millimeters thick. So there's a lot of weak spots on the tank, but there's also a lot of troll, and it means that you will get pretty decent bounces. Side armor is atrocious though, just keep that in mind. Don't bother side scraping unless you have a pretty good angle, because the sides are so weak at certain angles that even like at this angle here, you can cut through. there are definitely moments of weakness that this vehicle has that you're going to have to be very, very careful about. But overall, it's actually pretty good on armor. The rear of this vehicle is around 57, but it does have some weird goofy angles, as we can see. It's a better way to see it like this. It's got a bunch of like cutouts, so firing HE at the rear, probably want to shoot direct center or on these little corners here. Those are going to be your best chance. And the back of the turret is about 74, so it is an HE pen. However, in general, this tank actually has pretty good armor, especially for a tier 9 medium. It's pretty well armored. So, making our way back to Blitz, now let's talk about my loadout. When it comes to equipment, always running calibrated shells. Yes, Vents does give you a decent amount of DPM and all these other buffs, but you need penetration. It is just the most important thing, especially 40 more mils on your premium. Obviously, enhanced gun laying drive and finishing off with refined gun, giving this vehicle better base dispersion. Then we move over. Defense system is a must. Improved assembly to get some extra HP, and toolbox for faster modular repairs. Improved optics to outspot our opponents. Engine accelerator to give us a better top speed, acceleration, all that. And to finish off, we use consumable delivery system so we can get our tungsten, we can get our whatever we're using back faster. In terms of consumables, I am using a single tungsten. The reason why is because I've basically decided that double repair kit is still the best way to go if you want to have survivability. Yes, obviously running something like reticle Cali and tungsten is not a bad combo. Same for a reactive, but personally, I'd just rather have the ability to repair my tracks. Tungsten is definitely the choice I'm going with, though. Gives you about a 15% damage boost, so it takes your clip from what is normally 460-ish to 560, which is pretty dang nice. So with all that being said, let's get into some gameplay, and let's see what the Dead Mouse tank can do. I have been having a lot of fun in this tank, and I can tell you already from the first battles I've played in it earlier today, this thing is a little overcooked. I'm not going to say it's the most overpowered tank ever, because it's not. There are many vehicles that are completely overpowered, as we know. I think that you can do better in an Object 752 in a lot of games if you're an average player, but what I will say is that the auto-loading gun does feel really nasty. You deal a lot of damage, you have a decent amount of gun depression to go with that, and the tank is a blast. I was having a lot more fun in this vehicle than I originally expected to, which is actually really good, because usually when Wargaming releases a new tank, sometimes I'm let down, but this tank has not let me down, like, the 116F3. I also think the tank looks pretty cool. I mean, I know that the history buffs are going to complain, as usual, that Wargaming's not releasing historical tanks and camos, but it's a game meant for teenagers to young adults, and it's a mobile game. I mean, what do you expect? Alrighty, well, let's make our way to mid. We do have 7 degrees, which we can see here, so it's plenty of gun depression to work this ridgeline, at least somewhat. I'm not going to say very effective, because you usually want about 8 to 9 degrees to work this effectively, but 7 is enough that you can see over the rails, and you'll still be, you know, getting fine shots out. So, we have the WZ, and there you have it. That is the 480 damage clip right there. I mean, that's a lot of damage when you think about it. This thing is really, really nasty on its damage output, so that's already a good start. I'm not spotting anything else over here. There you go. Let's activate our tungsten. Boom, boom, boom. Ah, we bounced one of the shots. With this vehicle only having 160 damage per shot, it's very common that you will bounce your shells, even on lightly armored opponents, just because of the way it's kind of designed. Now we have the MAU5TANK, which we're going to take 3 shots at. I think those all hit. They disappeared, and yeah, we took a pretty solid amount off of that waffle. Alright, well, we have the Ag Tiger, we have the Tiger 2, aiming, and not able to hit that. We do have the Argonaut, we have the WZ. Oh, there you go. Bonk, bonk, bonk. 330. You can see how this gun does get a little bit derpy sometimes, but it's really not that big of a deal, because in return, you deal a crap ton of damage. I mean, look at that. That's a 379 chunker right there. Waffle's going to get a nice... Oh, I thought the Waffle was going to get a nice chunk out, but let's see. 752's probably going to shoot the Tiger, or not. Well, I'm going to shoot the Tiger. There you go. 174, and now we back up. That's probably the Centurion that shot me. We are now going to head in, and you'll probably get a good idea of the mobility this tank has here. We can see that, like, on flat ground, I am definitely able to accelerate up to 50, but once I'm on, like, a slight uphill or even just medium terrain, it slows down quite a bit. You know, uphill here, we're only going 20. It's not the fastest, but the other mechanics definitely make up for it. So let's see what's going on here. We know that the, I don't know what it was, the Argonaut was over here. Well, I'm going to shoot at the WZ. Let's see, bonk, bonk, bonk. There you go. 541 into his tank. I mean, that's a lot of damage. That is definitely a lot of damage and nothing to scoff at. So we're going to poke this guy again, and let's see, bonk, bonk, bonk. 564 into the enemy Centurion. He's not happy with me, obviously, and we're just going to chill. Ow, what a cringer. All right, well, we got the WZ who's still looking over here. And I'm just going to wait for my team, because there's really no reason to do anything else. I'm just going to wait for my team to come and support me. And let's see. Bonk, bonk, bonk. 496 into his vehicle. We back up. Cent tries to sneak a shell into me, but I don't really give him that opportunity. We got a little bit longer left on our reload. And 3, 2, 1. Bonk, bonk, bonk. There you go. That was a 4,244 damage game. And you can start to see why I think this vehicle might be a tad in the overpowered category. The damage output that this thing has is absolutely diabolical. It's technically the highest damaging medium now. I mean, unless you count like the Cobra with its high explosive, but this tank doesn't need high explosive. And with the tungsten, you do more than a Cobra. I mean, this thing really does a lot of damage and absolutely farms when you're given the opportunity. Now, that's not to say the gun, as you noticed, it can be a little derpy because you have 3 shells shooting in super quick succession. And not only that, but the tank itself has a very low alpha of 160, which means the shells like to bounce a lot. They'll hit a little weird angle and go pew, but it is a 110 millimeter, so at least it's not like a 75 mil. If you had a 75 millimeter gun up in tier 9 fighting tier 10s, you would see a lot of auto ricochets due to 3 calibers rule. But with a higher caliber, a 110, it means that you actually aren't going to have to worry about that. You can still overmatch plates and cut through certain engine decks and stuff like that, which normally would have been a problem if this was a 75 mil. So let's get into another game and see how the Mouse Tank does. So we have 2 ISU 152s. We got a Hori, KV4, E75. They got a lot of nasty tonkalers. I'm going to ping my RU where I'm heading. Hopefully he helps me out. Okay. Let's see what we can do. I mean, they only have 2 mediums, but they got a lot of tank destroyers, which is obviously something that I'm going to have to be at least a little cautious against. So, I am going to head over there. Now, again, we can see the mobility here. On flat ground, it's not bad. We're chilling at like 40 right now. It's not slow, but it's definitely not what I would consider fast either. But the mobility isn't like egregiously bad, so you're not going to notice it being that big of a problem. If it really sucks that much for you, then you could pull out super speed boost. But yeah, uphill, the power to weight's bad, and we can see that here. I'm chilling at like 16, 15 kilometers per hour here. Pretty slow. All right, well, let's see if anybody decides to poke this. Hello. Interesting. All right, well, it's always not a bad idea to spot this up over here really quickly as well, just in case. Actually, yes, I do see a knockdown tree, which means they have tanks that are heading over here, but we can also see that they have tanks on the other side of the map. So, what exactly are we looking at? Well, we have the enemy Vickers spotted. Not sure how we spotted each other, but that's the Vickers. Oh, we got the T-44 in the back. Let's activate our tungsten, and there you go. 551! That is such a nasty amount of damage. That really is. Is that T-44? He is. He's running the 122. Bruh. That is rather unfortunate. Oh, we still got 187 out. Not bad. T-44 is in a terrible situation right now. And all I need to do is realistically kind of chill right here. And I would assume we should be able to get the clear into the T-44. Oh, almost. One more shot. I don't want to be shot by the Hori, so we're going to back up. But now that the T-44 is gone, I don't have to worry about being spotted by him, which means I can move up myself and hopefully spot this Hori and get out some nasty damage. Let's see. Is the Hori able to be detected? Well, not yet. But that's all right. We're going to move over here. There you go. Now we spotted the Hori. The fact that Hori actually out-detected me is a little wild, but we're all good. We're going to move right here, aiming. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Again, you can see sometimes the gun is a little annoying. And that was a great moment there to really showcase that. Like, with 3 shells, obviously it's going to be RNG dependent where 3 go. Sometimes all 3 will go off of where you aimed, but pen because of that. Other times they'll do the opposite and none of them will go where you aimed, and I'll scatter off like a bunch of flies. So, what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to cross right over here. Let's see, anything in the crossing? Interesting. Oh, there you go. The enemy Vickers, aiming, bonk, 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 but there you go. Look at that damage again. That's 558 damage right there. That puts us up to 1,500. I mean, that really is a stupid amount of damage. Alright, well, the Vickers is obviously a threat. By the way, something else I should have mentioned, which I may have forgotten, this tank also features tracer shells, meaning that when you shoot somebody, they are lit up for a whopping 20 seconds at a time, which is kind of wild. So we got the 75 right here. I'm going to aim it on the 75 roof. Bonk, bonk, bonk. 384 damage into his vehicle. Even, you know, when you load heat, 384 is still a lot of damage. It really is. So the C-75, I guess he really doesn't like me, but that's fine. I'll get a 482 damage chunker out. And there you go. You can see how the upper plate at certain angles does become an auto ricochet. And we had a great example right there. So I'm going to angle the vehicle a little bit. KV-4 bounces me. We unfortunately don't get all three of my shells to pen, but that's still a decent amount. We have the Defender holding off the E-75, which means I don't need to worry about that. And we have the ISU all the way up top, so I'm going to help out my teammate with that. There you go, 496. And now we have the KV-4 over here. Okay, well, somehow my teammate died, which is pretty sad when you actually think about it. Alright, well, I'm going to put on my tungsten, and bonk, bonk, bonk. There you go, 560. Oh my god, this tank is so stupid, bro. We're already up to 3,800 damage, and now we just kind of bully the poor KV-4. Let's aim it on the back of his turret. There you go, 554 again. As you can see, you're able to get out 2 clips with your tungsten active, which is pretty good. That's basically around 1,100 damage with 2 tungsten clips. So, we had a victory, a very solid game at that. Yeah, I mean, what else do I need to say about this tank? It's really, really fun. The damage output is great. The overall mobility is better than I expected it to be, and it just bullies. It really just bullies the opponents that you go up against. Top on the team, no problems whatsoever. And I've been having games like this quite a while now. I've played 9 games in the tank. I have a 90% win rate with 3,176 average damage, which is pretty good. A lot of you, when I make a video in a tier 9, also say, how does it go up against tier 10s? And, well, after playing 20 games, I've managed to get in a tier 10 battle. I'm not joking. I got literally 20 games in a row that were up against tier 8. Now, normally that's good, but in this case, it was about 40 minutes of me trying to get one tier 10 battle so that I can make today's video. So, yeah. Alright, we got the Patton, we got the 5A. Okay, interesting. We got the STB in mid. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm seeing a lot, but what I'm really seeing is the opportunity to flank to the side of the enemy here and cut right over to this flank like so. And this is where that clipping potential is going to allow the mouse tank to be really dangerous. Now, you did notice again that accuracy kind of mid. However, the clip reload is fairly quick, which means we can get those shells back pretty fast. Aiming on that Pershing, bonk, bonk, bonk. 544 damage into the Pershing. But we did get cut right through by the enemy STB, so also something to keep in mind. Let's see if I can get some damage into this STB. Never mind. Oh, and the 5A snaps me in the turret. Well, we can see that the armor on this vehicle, while decent, is nothing insane, but you will get some bounces. There you go. 314. Ugh. I'm getting massively bled out as well. This is not ideal right now, but doing okay. We got 2 seconds left on my reload. Bonk, bonk, bonk. There you go. 495. That's pretty good. Solid damage output so far. 2 and 5B is a bit low, but in a couple seconds we'll have our clip back. Let's see if I can get some more damage into the Quran. Bonk, bonk, bonk. You know what? 329. Decent amount. Alright. Well, the enemy team only has a few tanks left. They got the 5A all the way in the back. They have the WZ-132-1 and the XM-66F. Looks like the XM's trying to make a bit of an aggressive play, which is interesting. It's even more interesting that the XM decided to focus me over the 114. Not really sure why, but he did. Alright, well, we got the 132 one up top. 5A's getting rushed. I'm going to see if I can get this 132 shot a bit, maybe. That'd be a little bit of free damage. Let's see. Aiming, aiming. Let's put on my tungsten, and come on, poke it, WZ. Come on, poke it. Come on. Is he gonna? Maybe not. I have a feeling he will. I'm gonna get in the cover before he has that. You know what? I got 375 out. Not bad. I still did 2,900 damage in this game, and our team should win. We have a full health 114, who I would assume is going to be able to get the clear. I should have just stayed a little bit more passive against the WZ, which I guess is on my fault, but it doesn't matter. The XM is going to die to the Kron, and this game should be a win. So I'll catch back up with you guys in a little bit. There you go. The TL7 was taken out of the game. So as we can see, even up against tier 10s, the mouse tank does pretty good. The only thing that can be a little irritating about this tank is that when the gun doesn't work, the RNG can be a little bit iffy. But when it does work, this tank feels really fun. And even in this battle, I still did 2,900 damage, placing me second on the team, and I had a pretty fun experience playing in this vehicle overall. So, in general, I'd have to say that the mouse tank is actually a really fun tier 9. I don't think it's entirely overpowered, but I do think it's a little bit stronger than most of the other tier 9 mediums. It's got a lot of heat penetration at 330 mils. It's accurate for what it is, and honestly, the single shot looks really good too if you want to mess around with that. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this tank. Also, when it comes to the event, it should cost you $10 to get the vehicle, as long as you grind it. So it's very inexpensive as well. If you ask me, I think this is a great deal, and I would recommend to try and get your hands on this vehicle if you have the opportunity this Christmas. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.